The Soviet Union, a major power in the world up until December of 1991. What made this power come to an end, you may ask? Well, that is what we're going to discuss right now under the guidance of economic history. Throughout the history of the Soviet Union, there have been many leaders, all changing throughout the course of the years. Joseph Stalin, Georgy Malenkov, Alexei Kosygin, and many more. However, for our purposes, we are going to focus on the last leader of the Soviet Union, Mikhail Gorbachev. 1985, Gorbachev rose to power. Information from the Cold War Museum shows us that when he did, there were already economic and political issues that had been around the Soviet Union for a long time now. Gorbachev was counted on to fix all the problems, and he started towards a solution by creating policies. One was a freedom of speech, and the other was a form of rebuilding that had been intended to fix the economy. Unfortunately, allowing the public to freely express their emotions let loose a storm of pent-up political opinions and emotions. Since the plan for economic reform did not turn out to be as successful as previously hoped, the people used their newly developed freedoms to criticize Gorbachev. Not only was the Soviet Union in a state of economic failure, a series of secessions began within the Baltic regions, with Estonia being the initial. This, added to other hardships, came to a peak in August of 1991. Gorbachev was kidnapped by a group of communists who organized a coup d'etat, or a sudden attempt by a small group of people to take over the government, usually through violence as defined by the Merriam-Webster Dictionary. And on August 19th, it was televised that he was unable to govern any longer because of an illness. Now, once again, the Cold War Museum tells us that the country went into an uproar. Massive protests were staged in Moscow, Leningrad, and many other major cities of the Soviet Union. When the coup organizers tried to bring in the military to quell the protesters, the soldiers themselves rebelled, saying that they could not fire against their fellow countrymen. Now this all came to a halt after 3 days when those who kidnapped Gorbachev surrendered. On December 25th of 1991, Gorbachev resigned from his position as the Soviet president. In his resignation speech, he first states that he is resigning his position because of the formation of the Commonwealth of Independent States and the situation they have caused. In his own words, "I am making this decision on considerations of principle. I firmly came out in favor of the independence of nations and sovereignty for the republics. At the same time, I support the preservation of the Union state and the integrity of this country." Gorbachev himself addresses later on that the world has been changing along with the times, and certain threats are gone. This offers a unique insight on how the USSR was running from a person on the inside. At the same time, this is a view from one of two major powers. We cannot see the United States feeling, or if there was pressure on Gorbachev to retire. In the end, the USSR became 15 separate countries, and on the same day of Gorbachev's resignation, the United States recognized the independence of the remaining Soviet republics. Not long after, still in late December, the Soviet Union was declared over. The end was met with mixed results, but most was joyous. As we can see, the Soviet Union had a long history of suffering. In the words of Sergei Shmeiman, an author of the New York Times, "The Soviet state, marked throughout its brief but tumultuous history by great achievement and terrible suffering, died today after a long and painful decline. It was 74 years old." Now, being 74 years meant there was 74 years of trouble to fix. While Gorbachev was never truly able to fix everything, and now the independent states had to fix their own economies, he still gave a voice to the people, and he made a change. Still in the words of Shmeiman, however, the Soviet Union died a monumental failure. Now to go back and answer our initial question. The failing economy to a greater extent helped lead to the collapse of the Soviet Union, and a long history of a failing economy that was still around after it was gone, led to public distress and a need to change, a need to create a new future that did not include the USSR.